World's oldest president sworn in after deadly protests. World's oldest president sworn in after deadly protests. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dr. Jones. Wina TV, please subscribe. Cameroon's Paul Biya, the world's oldest ruler, was sworn in for an 8th term as president on Thursday following a disputed election that triggered deadly protests. In his inauguration speech, the 92-year-old pledged to restore order to the Central African nation and blamed the irresponsible politicians and the diaspora for inciting unrest. As I take office, I fully measure the seriousness of the situation our country is going through. I measure the number and the severity of challenges we face. I measure the depth of frustrations, the scale of expectations. Biya told the audience, dressed in a sombre suit. Security forces killed 48 civilians during protests against Biya's re-elections, according to data from 2 UN sources. The government has not responded to requests for comment or given its own estimates of how many people were killed or injured during the unrest. Biya was named the winner of the election by a comfortable margin last week with 53.66% of the vote against 35.19% of opposition leader Issa Chiroma Bekele, according to the official results. His new mandate could keep him in power until he is almost 100. Chiroma had declared himself the winner shortly after the October 12th election, and protests erupted in various locations as early results showed Biya in power since 1982 was in the lead. Chiroma, a former government spokesperson who resigned from his ministerial post in June, said last week that the soldiers who were loyal to him had escorted him to a secure location, suggesting a possible split within the army. He did not say how many soldiers were involved. World's oldest president's re-election sparks major protests. Cameroon's President Paul Biya, the world's oldest serving ruler, secured an 8th term in office on Monday. Election results showed, triggering clashes between security forces and opposition supporters who say the vote was rigged. Bakers of opposition candidate Issa Chiroma Bekele, armed with sticks and stones, blocked off roads with debris and burning tires in the Central African country's commercial capital, Douala. Police fired tear gas at crowds who wore masks or tried to cover their faces with clothing. In other parts of the city, streets that normally buzzed with motorbikes were deserted. Biya, aged 92, with a new mandate that could keep him in power until he is almost 100, said the people had once again placed their trust in his leadership and expressed sorrow for the violence in a statement posted on social media platform X. My first thoughts are with all those who have unnecessarily lost their lives, as well with their families. As a result of the post-election violence, Biya said, The government has rejected the opposition accusations of irregularities. Tires ban. Official results published on Monday showed Biya winning the October 12 vote by a comfortable margin of 53.66% against 35.19% for opposition leader Chiroma. Chiroma claimed the victory last week and said he would not accept any other outcome. Protests erupted in several towns after early partial results suggested Biya was on track for victory. The government urged people to wait for the results. Over the weekend, 4 people died in clashes in Douala, the opposition said. We expect unrest to escalate as Cameroonians wildly reject the official result, and we cannot see the Biya government lasting much longer, said Francois Conradi, lead political economist, Oxford Economics. Chiroma said on Facebook that shots fired at civilians outside his home in the northern city of Garoua killed 2 people on Monday. Reuters could not independently confirm his account or who had fired the shots. We all know that the majority of Cameroon's people voted for Issa Chiroma Bakari, said one protester in Douala. It is inadmissible that President Paul Biya won in certain war zones. Riot police roamed on patrol and businesses stayed closed. Biya now has a notably shaky mandate given many of his own citizens don't believe he won the election. Moreti Motiga, Africa Program Director at the International Crisis Group, told Reuters, "We call on Biya to urgently initiate a national mediation to prevent further escalation," Motiga added. Ally to rival. Biya took office in 1982 and has held a tight grip on power ever since, doing away with the presidential term limit in 2008 and winning re-election by comfortable margins. Cameroon's elderly president is no anomaly in the region where some of the world's youngest populations are governed by leaders over 80. Togo's president is 86. Ivory Coast's president, who is expected to win last week's election, is 83. The opposition says voters in Cameroon are clamoring for change after more than 4 decades of Biya's rule, during which economic development in the oil and the cocoa-producing nation has stagnated. Even Biya's daughter Brenda published a now deleted TikTok video urging voters not to choose her father. Chiroma, in his 70s, is a former government spokesperson and employment minister who broke ranks with Biya earlier this year. His transformation from ally to opposition figurehead and challenger is one of the most striking political shifts in Cameroon's recent history. His campaign drew large crowd and endorsement from a coalition of opposition parties and civic groups. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dr. Jones. Wayna TV, please subscribe. Bye for now. Till we meet again next time. Subscribe.